Well, hello everybody. Hello. We're going to do a little bit of a whip and chat. I really need to schedule these. I mean, on my end, I need to go on this day. We're doing whip and chats. I'm one of those fly by the seat of your pants kind of people. So yeah, that's usually what happens. So anyway, what am I working on today is I am doing these, they're called, well, let me show you this. This is all of them. They're from the Diamond Design Company, and they're on Etsy, and I got the sea creatures. And I've finished the little turtle. Isn't he cute? I think he's adorable. And now I'm working on the little octopus. So, yeah, I like him. I'm still using my Be the Bird Yellow Dog designs from the Richard Lorenz event, 2025, but, you know, I'm still using it, and that's okay. I like it, right? So, anyway, I haven't finished getting all my craft room organized, so there's that. Okay, let's see. Let me find a color. Let's see. These are, I don't have these like kitted up, so they're just all in bags. And so that is making it, all right, here we go. That is making it a little more difficult. And now, oddly enough, the bags are starting to get staticky. So, but I haven't had to use any static guard yet, but I feel like I may have to soon. Hopefully not today though. So anyway, what is everyone up to? What is going on in your life? First of all, I want to tell you that I am going to be doing a Q&A soon in the next couple of weeks, and I'm hoping to get some more questions. So if you have any questions you'd like for me to answer, please leave them down in the comment section, and I will do my best to answer them. Well, you know, the best of my ability. If it's too personal, or if it's something I don't want to put out on, you know, the internets, then I will say so. I won't just skip the question. I'll say that. But anyway, so yeah, please do that before you forget. You could hit pause and go do that. Or wait until after, it doesn't matter. There's been a lot going on in my life. I guess at some point I need to do a separate video explaining more in depth about my upbringing, how I got here. You know, I was born at a very young age. Now, I need to, I guess, do something like that. I know I've hit on it, but I haven't really gone into detail. And maybe I'll do a separate video on that. I don't know. Should I? Would y'all like to have a separate video? And I mean, do you even care? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe you're like, who cares, Leanne? Move on. But if you ever watched the video that I made about, you know, a little bit about me, I did tell you that I was raised by my grandparents and adopted by my grandparents. I was raised by my grandparents when I was, from the time I was a week old. And then my grandparents adopted me officially when I was 9 years old. But I never knew who my father was. Okay, so and when I got a little bit older, you know, when I really was questioning it, I was like, tell me, you know, somebody has got to know this, you know. Well, you know, he was a bad man, and you don't want anything to do with him, and, you know, you just need to forget about it. Don't worry about it. Well, I did, you know, because it was like there's another half of me out there, and while I absolutely adored my grandparents, right? I mean, obviously, they saved my life, is what they did. I never kept, quit wanting to learn about my biological father. And I always wondered, did he ever think about me? Did he ever want to come see me? Did he even know about me, right? I mean, because there's a chance that he never even knew I existed. Well, then I found out, and I remember this happening. I was outside playing. My grandparents were out working in the yard or something, and I was out there playing in the front yard as I would do. And I remember a man showed up, and it's all I remember, just a man with like blonde hair. And they told me to run inside and go play, so that's what I did. Well, come to find out that was my biological father. I was probably about 7, and they, my grandmother really told him, hit the road, Jack. She doesn't know you. She doesn't need to know you. We're raising her. She's fine. Don't put yourself out, type of thing. And so my grandmother said she did remember him saying, well, I just didn't do Donna right. And that was my mother. So I did know as I got old, when I got older, that he was a married man. And so, my mother did not have him listed on my birth certificate. So I don't know why. I don't know if she was trying to save him. I don't know is the thing. But anyway, so he was a married man. So I was like, okay. So, obviously I was born out of wedlock, and that's kind of a common occurrence now. It's no big deal, really, at all. But when I was growing up, it was. It really, really was. It was hurtful. It was, yeah. You got called names and stuff. So, yeah, it really, really was hurtful to me. So, but I was like, how can anyone not have a father, right? Because, as I got older, I realized you have to have a father. It takes an egg and a sperm, and, you can't just have it with 2 sperm or 2 eggs, right? So I was like, well, everyone has a father. Whether they were born in wedlock or not, they still have a father. Anyway, then when I got to be a teenager, I really, really, in earnest, started asking people, no, nobody knew anything. And then when Max and I got married in '86, we, he was like, well, I'll help you, I'll help you look for him. We went down to the high school that he went to, and was able to look at microfiche. I don't know if they even still have that. No, probably not. It's probably all online now. And we got a yearbook photo of him from when he was 17. So that was funny because there were 2 of his name in the yearbook. So it was like, oh no, which one is it? And I just looked at him and went, it's this one. Because I could see myself in him. I was like, yeah, I can see that guy. Well, it was. And, hang on, oh yeah. Some of these symbols are hard for me to read. I'm not going to lie. That's why I've got my little magnifying glass, because some of these are hard to read for me. But anyway, so I searched. Of course, back then, all you really had was, stuff that you could dig up, in person. And my great aunt, my grandmother's sister, she did genealogy, and I begged her to find my father. And if anybody could have, she could have. But I'm pretty sure my grandmother told her, no, don't do that. I don't know. I don't know why. I think my grandmother was just afraid of something happening to me. She was very afraid that something was going to happen and she'd lose me or something. So, And, you know, and all she would say was, he's a bad man. Well, she said, he's an alcoholic and he likes to beat women. Now, that's a bad man for you, right? So, but I still was like, that's not good enough for me. I mean, I don't, now I was an adult, albeit a young adult, but I was still an adult. And I was like, I'm not looking for a father figure, right? I'm grown now, so I don't need a father in the traditional sense of a father. My grandfather was, you know, he was my father figure. So I didn't need him to, you know, be my knight in shining armor, you know, and be daddy, as, you know, so many girls fondly call their fathers. But I never quit looking. I never quit searching. I asked just about, you know, because at the time, at one point I lived in Pasadena, and well, guess what? He lived in Pasadena, and I couldn't figure out where. And then my mother told me the street. Well, I lived literally around the corner, and I would drive up and down, thinking maybe I could just figure it out, you know, just figure out which house was his. But I never, actually it was his parents' house, but I never did. And so fast forward many years, I mean 30 years or so, I mean something close to it anyways. And Ancestry came out, Ancestry.com, and I was like, all right, I'm doing it. So I put in my DNA, and I anxiously awaited, anxiously. Well, the only relatives that came up first were like real distant cousins. And so I'm like, I would, every one of them though, every one of them, I'd send them a message. Hi, you know, my name is Leanne, and I'm looking for my biological father, and here's his name. And every one of them came back and said, do not know him. Never heard of him. We don't have any of those on our side, or, you know, whatever. So, you know, I kept checking, like every day. Anytime any new person came up, hi, you know, blah, 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 blah. Well, finally I got this one, and the last name was the same. So I sent her a message and said, hey, you know, I'm looking for my bio dad. Here's his name. And she said, well, this is my husband's, and he's actually your cousin. I do know who your father is. You know, they do have a reunion, and he's always there, so I do know who he is. But, you know, I can give you everything I know about him, but I don't know how to contact him or anything. It's like, okay. Well, then, y'all, one day I got a message from Ancestry.com, said, you have a new match, a close match. I had not had any close matches. So I was like, oh, okay. So I get on there, and I see the name Darla, and I'm like, I wonder if she's like my first cousin or something. So I sent her a message and said, hi, you know, I'm looking for my bio dad. Here's his name. I think you might know him. And she wrote me back and said, well, that's my dad. It's my biological father, and I'm trying to find sisters. I was like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. So needless to say, we talked on the phone for quite a bit, and then we finally met, and we've been friends ever since. We get together as often as we can. She lives on the other side of Houston, so not as often. She's very busy, and so we don't get together as much as we'd like to, but we do try to. Well, so then a good friend of mine, she does genealogy to help solve crimes and find birth parents and stuff like that, you know. And so she was like, well, I found him, you know, so you want me to call him? And so we're like, yeah, you do it, you know, because we were too scared. And so she did. And he said, well, she called him, he answered, and he said, well, you know, my wife right now, she is dying of cancer. I'm her, you know, full-time caregiver. There's no one else taking care of her. And I just have my hands full, and she doesn't know about a lot of my past life, which I was like, you're kidding me. I mean, yeah, okay. So, but anyway, he said, I just don't have the time right now. And so she said, okay. And it hurt, you know, I mean, it did. I'm not going to lie. You know, it did. It was kind of like, And, I mean, I think he took it kind of offensively, like, well, because Darla's stepdad adopted her. So, you know, he was like, I gave up my rights, and I didn't think it was right for me to go around her. And then Leanne's grandmother made sure I didn't come around her. And, you know, so it was like, no one's blaming you, you know. Just kind of, what I really wanted was, I did want to see what he looked like, you know, just so I could compare. But I also wanted to know health history, you know, so, you know, is colon cancer a thing? Is diabetes a thing? I'd like to find out if type 1 diabetes is a thing, because, you know, my son who has it, although they're not convinced that it's hereditary anyways, but, you know. So, anyway, I just gave up, you know, just gave up, like, this is never going to happen. Just move along. And then the other day, well, about a month ago now, maybe 6 weeks, I got a message on Ancestry that this guy who had this, you know, the last name that I was looking for, and he said, hi, you know, I see that we're related, and I had looked, I had saw that, and he was my nephew. And so he was like, I'm just trying to find some family. And I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I think you're in the right place. Now, I had already found some other siblings, but I never reached out to them because I was afraid, you know, and, you know, I found them just by looking up documents on Ancestry. So not by any DNA or anything, just by me being a detective, I guess. And I thought one set of them, their mother was probably the one that he cheated on with my mother. And I was like, they probably hate my guts, you know? But anyway, so I was like, okay, yeah, you know, he's like, yeah, my mother is his daughter. And I said, oh, really? You know, when was she born? And he said, well, 1965. Well, there is a girl that is on there showing up as my half-sister that was born in 65, but I think she might have been adopted. I don't know. I didn't think about that at the time, and I sent her a message on Ancestry, and she never responded back. And she does get on Ancestry, and I can tell by her tree that it's you know, it's different people. Then it's definitely not, you know, Jerry's not listed, and her mother at the time that she was born on her tree was 7 years older than him. So I really think she was adopted out. And I don't know if she didn't know that, you know, but I still haven't heard anything back from her. And it's been, man, 3 years, 4 years, something like that. And I've just left it alone. I've never gotten back in touch with her. So anyway, that's who I thought it was, though. And I was like, well, I wonder why she didn't, you know, I wonder why she didn't reach out to me. So anyway, I said, well, if she would like to talk to me, I would love to talk to her. So then he wrote back, yes, she'd love to talk to you. And he gave me her phone number. So I was like, okay, you know. So me and Darla, I was like, you know, that's got to be the one that we think is adopted, because she was born in 65 as well. So we got on the phone. Nope. No. This was another daughter And she was born in 65, yes. But she also had a sister who was born 2 months after I was born. And then she had another sister that was born in 64, and then she was born in 65. So, you know, he did marry. I think he married, well, except for the one who I think is adopted. I think he married all the mothers except for mine. So apparently it was that wife, you know, that he was trying to make jealous or something. I don't know. But long story short, they talk. She talks to him on the phone occasionally. So she was like, well, here's his phone number. And I'm like, nah, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'll pray about it. I don't know if what I should do here. It really kind of threw me for a loop because he'd been a mystery all this time. And now they're talking. I mean, she's calling him daddy. And I'm like, what? You know, so Darla knew about as much about him as I did. So, you know. But, yeah, so I just didn't know what to do. And then she says, well, I'm going to tell this other sister that I knew about and would check in on occasionally on Facebook. And, you know, I'm going to let her know. I was like, okay, so she did. And we actually talked on the phone. We messaged back and forth for a little bit. And then we talked on the phone. And then she messaged me again. And she was like, you know, I don't know what to do. She was like, you know, have you thought about reaching out this way or that way? And I was like, no. I said, but, you know, if he wants to talk to me, I would absolutely love to talk to him. But I don't want to create any waves. You know, I don't want to create any hardship. But, you know, he's 87. He'll be 88 in July. So tick-tock, right? So, yeah. And then, let's see, hang on. I got to try to find, I can't chew gum either and walk at the same time. Let's see. What are you doing over there? You should be over here. Well, I do have some of these, so let me get them out. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to friend him on Facebook. And so I did. Now, back in 2017, I had sent, and we weren't friends on Facebook, but I found him on Facebook. So I sent him a message on Facebook introducing myself, telling him, you know, I don't know if this is real or not, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. No response. And then 8 years later, which was just the other day, he sends me a message and said, I'm sorry I'm late in replying. I don't get on Facebook that much. It's like, okay. But I'd love to talk to you. So here's my phone number. So I waited a little bit to digest that, and then I wrote him back and said, you know, better, you know, it's fine to be late, you know. So I said, I will call you this afternoon, but I wasn't sure, you know, I wasn't convinced. I don't know why, you know, I was just like, is it me? Am I reaching? Is it a case of, if you want to call, I'll talk to you type of thing, you know, or I would like to talk to you, you know? And, you know, I think I've told y'all before, I value my peace, and so I don't want to get my feelings hurt or, you know, my hopes up or anything. So I wrote him back. I said, I will try to call you this afternoon. And I said, just FYI, here's my phone number. So I gave him my phone number. Y'all, he called me. And I have my phone set to where if it's a number that's not in my contacts, that it just goes to voicemail. Well, I had my phone in my hand, and I actually was going to go sit out back with the idea of going ahead and calling him. And he left me a voicemail, and he said, "Hi, I'm sure you're busy, but I really wanted to talk to you, so I hope you'll call me back. If not, I'll call back later. And I really look forward to talking to you." And so that made me feel so much better, because it was like, he wants to talk to me. This isn't just a case of, I'll talk to you if that's what you want, It's a case of, yeah, I'd like to find out who about you and stuff. And so I did call him back, and we had the best conversation. Of course, he apologized, but he said, "Look, I was not a good man. I was mean. I was drunk all the time." And he's sober now. He's been sober since 1981, so, which is good. That's the year I graduated high school. So, but, I was like, it's okay. He was like, "I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, but you wouldn't have wanted to be around me, and your grandmother did the right thing," and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "Look, I'm not trying to bring up past. It's, it's done. It's over. I want to pick up from right here. Here we are right here, right now. We're never going to change the past. I had no, responsibility in it. To me, if there's animosity there, it should be between my mother and him, and my mother has passed away. So, it's really, and I didn't really get the feeling that she couldn't, okay? First of all, she had no room to badmouth him, to say, "Oh, he went off and abandoned us," or anything. No, she had no room for that. So she never said, other than he's not a nice man, but she did tell me he has lots and lots of daughters, and she was not wrong about that. So anyway, but it was funny because we got to talking, and the things that we have in common are mind-boggling. And then it turned out that we had mutual friends. And I was like, "You've got to be kidding me. How did that happen?" It's like, here I was asking everybody, if they knew him. But apparently, not the right people. However, one of the guys, Max, did ask him, but all he had was a high school photograph, so a black and white copy. So he asked him, "Do you know this guy?" And he said no. But he asked the name, and he was really good friends with my biological father. So, he's dead now. So why he said no, I don't know. I really don't know. I did find out when that gentleman passed away, we went to the funeral, and we were leaving the visitation. We didn't go to the funeral, we went to the visitation. And we were leaving the visitation, and somebody was walking in the door, and they said, "Hey, so-and-so," and said his name, and my heart sunk. Just sunk to my toes. I almost fainted, like, oh my gosh. And I kind of turned around to see, but then there was so many older men, because he was an older man too that died. I was like, oh, I don't want to sit there and stare and, go up to each one, look them in the eye and all that. I think a lot of people probably would have, and that's just my personality. I just don't, I don't know. But anyway, I didn't. But come to find out, yep, that was him. That was him. Of course, he was gray-headed then, so. But yep, that was him. So our paths crossed. I say crossed. We had so many things in common that it was very strange. It's like, how did this never happen? And I just say, you know what, when I was, I don't know, probably in my late 20s, early 30s, I just turned it over to God. I was like, you know what? I was probably in my 30s. I was like, you know what? I've looked, I have searched, I have asked, well, I thought I'd asked everybody until I'm blue in the face. And apparently, it's just not meant to be. So, I am just going to let it go. I'm going to pray about it. God knows my heart. He knows that, you know, I'm not trying to hurt anybody or whatever. And he knows how I feel. He knows how many tears I've cried. So, if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. But it didn't stop me from, like, doing ancestry and stuff like that because, yeah, I just felt like that was a tool God put in my path. Well, I never thought, though, I thought, well, I guess it's never meant to be for me to talk to him after he told my friend that. So I was like, you know, and then I said, well, you know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I don't know. You know, again, I put it in God's hands and I'm going to leave it there. And so, yeah, it just worked out. Having talked to his couple of my sisters, you know, his other daughters, you know, yes, he was not a good man. He did sober up, and when he sobered up, he has one kid that he's close to, and that's his last kid. And he's, you know, 12 years younger than me. He, you know, he is, yeah, so that was one kid that, you know, he was able to have a relationship with, even though him and the boy's mother divorced when he was young. You know, he paid child support. He went to go see him. You know, he helped raise him, you know, so, yeah, and so he's close with that son's grandchildren. And I told him, when I was on the phone with him, I said, do you have any clue how many grandkids or great-grandkids you have? He said, no, I really don't. I was like, you got a bunch, because my sister Darla, she's got 14 grandkids. 14. So it's like, you got 14 right there. You know? He was like, wow. You know, and that doesn't include all these other kids, you know? So, and I said, you got a lot of them. I told him, I said, you left quite the legacy, or you're leaving quite the legacy. So anyway, he was like, well, I really would like to get together and meet you in person. And I said, well, I would love that more than anything. I said, I would love to see you face to face. And he said, well, you know, where do you live? And I told him. And he was like, oh, you know, my brother lived down there. I'm like, I want to say, yes, I know, because I was stalking all of y'all on Ancestry. I have found cousins around here and everything. But, of course, I didn't tell him that. I wouldn't think I was some kind of psycho. But he said, yeah, I used to drive down there all the time. It's only about an hour drive. And I was like, well, I hate for you to drive all this way because, you know, well, first of all, he only has one eye. Come to find out, he has an aneurysm in his aorta, so he's a ticking time bomb. But he was like, no, I drive whenever, if I want to go somewhere, I drive. I don't mind driving. I like driving. I was like, okay. So anyway, thought we were going to try to do something here, but, you know, by my house. But he said, well, he said, I have hearing aids. And he said, and if I wear them, then I can hear everything. I mean, everything just sounds like a bunch of noise if it's in a noisy restaurant. So I really would prefer, because I want us to go someplace nice, but I'd really prefer that, you know, we could sit outside. And the weather has been phenomenal for that. So he named off a place, which I was surprised. I was like, how far away is that for you? And he goes, oh, it'll take me about an hour and a half. I'm like, okay, you know. So we're going to meet there tomorrow. And he's so funny because I was like, well, you know, let's meet between 11 and 11:30. And he was like, okay. I was like, well, which one, 11 or 11:30? He goes, I don't know. Why don't we just play it by ear and see what time, you know, we leave? And I was like, okay. I said, well, I'll tell you what. If you'll call me or text me, one of the two, and let me know when you're leaving, then I can get a pretty good idea of what time you're going to be there. And he was like, okay. But he goes, but you're going to have to call and remind me because I'm forgetful. I might not remember to call you. And I'm like, okay. How am I supposed to know you're about to pull out of the parking lot? But, you know, it's like, okay. So I will remind him in the morning. But, yeah. So I'm going to see him tomorrow. And I'm really looking forward to it. He has a great sense of humor. He is a funny character. Yeah. So, yep. I am looking forward to it. I wanted Darla to go. Darla wanted to go, but she has a very, very busy, she's just so busy right now. And so she can't, for the next 2 weeks, but she does want to go. And she said she would, you know, maybe I could go with her. She wants me to go with her. And I said, absolutely. And we can drive out there to his house, you know. Because I do worry about him being on the road. I mean, again, he's 87. He has one eye and an aneurysm, so, on his aorta. So, yeah. Tell you what. He wanted to go today, which is Monday, but he said, I have a doctor's appointment on Monday, but I can cancel it. And I was like, no, you don't need to cancel your doctor's appointment. We can go any time next week. And then he called me and he said, hey, I can cancel that doctor's appointment. We can meet on Monday. And I was like, no, because his doctor's appointment was to get the test results from his latest scan to see about his aneurysm, to see if it had grown or anything. I was like, you know, that really is important. So, no, we can go on Tuesday. And so he was like, okay. So it makes me happy that I think he really does want to meet me. And I'm very excited about that. You know? And when I was talking to Darla, she said, you know, you sound like you're just at peace. You know, you seem so calm. And I said, I am. You know, I am. I don't know why. I don't know how to describe it. But in talking to him, I don't know. I didn't feel anything bizarre. And so then I think to myself, well, you know what? It must not have been meant to happen. All those times that, you know, we could have met, you know. If I'd have been brave enough at the funeral home, you know, if I'd have asked the right people if they knew him. But then I think, you know, I was younger then. I was raising kids. I might have been a little resentful. I don't know. I know at this age I am not. So I don't know. I don't know. If it just wasn't supposed to happen, you know? Okay, I just saw. Yeah, okay, there it is. I confused myself there for a minute. I was like, wait a minute. Did I just put down the wrong drill? I didn't. So, yeah. And oddly enough, it's very strange. But I really do care. You know, it's not like, you know, this could be any old man, you know. It's like, no, I feel a connection. And isn't that bizarre? I mean, I cannot really explain it. I thought it would be like, I wouldn't even, there would be nothing about him that, I don't know, because I've never met him, I've never known him. But once I well, and then hearing from my sisters, and they sent pictures and stuff, so I got to see him different stages in his life. I don't know. It's like I care about him. Like I sent him a message this morning, and said, I hope that your doctor's appointment goes well. And, he replied back and said, thank you for caring. And it's like, I do care. I do care. Now, I'm like, oh no, what if he dies before I get to really know him? What if I die? But, he's, statistics are. And so, yeah. I'm like, oh no, what if that happened? So, I don't know. But I'm hoping that we can have a relationship of some sort, just where we can talk to each other occasionally, just to shoot the breeze. Yeah. I do hope that. And I hope everything goes well with his son that he has raised and has been there for, and grandkids that he's been there for. I always feel like people think, oh, well, what do you want? It's like, that's not the case at all. And I think, if you have been raised with a mother and a father, I don't think it's as important. But, I wasn't raised believing that my grandparents were my parents. I knew that they were my grandparents, and I knew that they were my legal guardians. But, yeah. So I am pretty stoked about it. I really am. And I hope it goes well. And he's anxious to meet Max, because he's like, they share some common ground on stuff. And he was just like, oh my gosh. Yep. So, yeah, I'm hoping to meet other siblings and cousins and whatnot. So, yeah. Some of them I already knew, and so I've been kind of, not stalking, but, just checking them out on Facebook occasionally, see how everything's going. I mean, I did see where his brother died, and I was like, oh no. So, but he was the baby, so, of the family. But I think I'm going to figure out where Jacob got his eyes. I have hazel eyes. And Jacob has hazel eyes too, but his lean more blue. Mine are more green. Jacob's looks a lot more blue. So, I don't know. Now, he had blonde hair. I had dark hair. But my mother had dark hair. And oddly enough, I think all the women that he went with were brunettes. So there you go. When my boys were born, though, up until they got grown, now their hair's dark. But it was blonde, and then it went kind of like a dirty blonde, brown, and now it's very dark. More like, mine. But yeah, he's a character. So anyway, I'll let y'all know, if you even care, how it goes. Trying to think if anything else is going on. Not a lot. Anytime I'm away from this house for more than an hour, I want to go home. It's like I love my house. I absolutely love it. It brings me so much peace, so much joy. It's like a dream to me. And I keep waiting for something bad to happen, you know. And I hope it doesn't, but that's what I keep waiting on. I'm one of those people. Everything's great. Oh, yeah? And I always feel like I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. But hopefully it won't. Oh, I will tell you this. So apparently we had storms coming through at about, I don't know, 3:30 this morning, 3 o'clock this morning, somewhere in there. And our power went out, which is what woke me up because the fans turned off and all of that. And within 60 seconds, if even that long, our power generator kicked in and power came right back on. It was awesome. Awesome. It's the first time we've ever had a generator like that. So, yeah. Pretty excited. Pretty excited. Excuse me. All right, now I need... Okay, I need P. There are really a lot of drills. I think it's like 57 or something. XP, here we go. So, a lot of drills to have to look through. Oh, I didn't need that many. Oh well, that's okay. I do like this kit. I think the quality's nice. There is some trash in the drills, but I mean, so far I've got enough. I mean, I've only done 2 though, so. But my biggest complaint is some of the symbols are hard for me to read. I mean, it's not often I have to get the lighted magnifying glass out. And I think it's one thing, and I look at it with the lighted magnifying glass, and nope, I was wrong. All right, now I need a check mark, which is this. Just 2. Just 2. Oh, no, get off of there. Oh, dear. Come on. Come on. There we go. Then I will have this one finished. Alrighty. Let's see. That there. So this gives me my second one to finish. I think they're cute though, don't you? I guess I need to try to find some sort of binder or something to save these in. I don't know. So anyway, let's see here. Okay, so what are your marching orders? Teasing you. What I would like is, well, first of all, I hope you'll give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Really, it lets me know, you know, that what I'm doing is okay. But it also helps the channel algorithms, or at least that's what I've heard, and I'm going to stick with it. And then, of course, you know, it makes me feel good to say that, oh, look, someone liked me. So I appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell if you don't want to miss any videos that I upload. I would love for you to do that. It doesn't cost you a thing. I'm subscribed to I don't know how many YouTube channels. I probably, yeah, a lot. I would say over probably 1,000 or more. Obviously, I can't watch all of them at one time, but I try to do my best. So anyway, and then please leave down below if there's any questions you would like for me to ask, or for me to answer, and I'll do it on an upcoming video, maybe next week. And then, what was should I make a video about, you know, talking about, or maybe a separate video about, maybe I don't know if y'all have questions about, you know, my story, although I think I gave you my story. So anyway, that's up to you if you want to do that. And then don't forget, on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Central Daylight Savings Time, I go live, and I would love for you to be there. So I'm going to close this video out for now. I'm sorry it was a little bit of a short one, but I wanted to tell you my news, and I like sharing things with y'all. So anyway, everyone, thank you. I love you, and I will see you next time. Bye.